Welcome to nurtravelstudio. Today, we will travel one of the most beautiful countries in the world called New Zealand. New Zealand is an island country in the southwestern Pacific Ocean. It consists of two main landmasses, the North Island, Te Aikaʻamui, and the South Island, Te Waipunamu, and over 700 smaller islands. It is the sixth largest island country by area, covering 268,021 square kilometers. New Zealand is about 2,000 kilometers east of Australia across the Tasman Sea and 1,000 kilometers south of the islands of New Caledonia, Fiji, and Tonga. The country's varied topography and sharp mountain peaks, including the Southern Alps, owe much to tectonic uplift and volcanic eruptions. New Zealand's capital city is Wellington, and its most populous city is Auckland. The islands of New Zealand were the last large habitable land to be settled by humans. Between about 1280 and 1350, Polynesians began to settle in the islands and then developed a distinctive Maori culture. In 1642, the Dutch explorer Abel Tasman became the first European to sight and record New Zealand. In 1840, representatives of the United Kingdom and Maori chiefs signed the Treaty of Waitangi, which in its English version declared British sovereignty over the islands. In 1841, New Zealand became a colony within the British Empire. Subsequently, a series of conflicts between the colonial government and Maori tribes resulted in the alienation and confiscation of large amounts of Maori land. New Zealand became a dominion in 1907. It gained full statutory independence in 1947, retaining the monarch as head of state. Today, the majority of New Zealand's population of 5.1 million is of European descent. The indigenous Maori are the largest minority, followed by Asians and Pacific Islanders. Reflecting this, New Zealand's culture is mainly derived from Maori and early British settlers, with recent broadening of culture arising from increased immigration. The official languages are English, Maori, and New Zealand Sign Language, with the local dialect of English being dominant. A developed country, New Zealand ranks highly in international comparisons of national performance, such as quality of life, education, protection of civil liberties, government transparency, and economic freedom. The country was the first to introduce a minimum wage, and the first to give women the right to vote. New Zealand underwent major economic changes during the 1980s, which transformed it from a protectionist to a liberalized free trade economy. The service sector dominates the national economy, followed by the industrial sector, and agriculture. International tourism is also a significant source of revenue. Nationally, legislative authority is vested in an elected, unicameral parliament, while executive political power is exercised by the cabinet, led by the Prime Minister, currently Chris Hipkins. King Charles III is the country's monarch and is represented by the Governor-General. In addition, New Zealand is organized into 11 regional councils and 67 territorial authorities for local government purposes. The realm of New Zealand also includes Tokelau, a dependent territory, the Cook Islands and Niue, self-governing states in free association with New Zealand, and the Ross Dependency, which is New Zealand's territorial claim in Antarctica. New Zealand is a member of the United Nations, Commonwealth of Nations, ANZUS, UKUSA, OECD, ASEAN +6, Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, the Pacific Community, and the Pacific Islands Forum. New Zealand is located near the center of the Water Hemisphere, and is made up of two main islands, and more than 700 smaller islands. The two main islands, the North Island, or Te Aikaʻamui, and the South Island, or Te Waipunamu, are separated by Cook Strait, 22 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. Besides the North and South Islands, the five largest inhabited islands are Stewart Island, across the Phobos Strait, Chatham Island, Great Barrier Island, in the Hauraki Gulf, D'Urville Island, in the Marlborough Sounds, and Waiheke Island, about 22 kilometers from central Auckland. New Zealand is long and narrow, over 1,600 kilometers along its north-northeast axis, with a maximum width of 400 kilometers, with about 15,000 kilometers of coastline, and a total land area of 268,000 square kilometers. Because of its far-flung outlying islands and long coastline, the country has extensive marine resources. Its exclusive economic zone is one of the largest in the world, covering more than 15 times its land area. The South Island is the largest landmass of New Zealand. It is divided along its length by the Southern Alps. There are 18 peaks over 3,000 meters, 9,800 feet, the highest of which is Araki, Mount Cook at 3,724 meters, 12,218 feet. Fiordland's steep mountains and deep fjords record the extensive Ice Age glaciation of this southwestern corner of the South Island. The North Island is less mountainous, but is marked by volcanism. The highly active Torp volcanic zone has formed a large volcanic plateau, punctuated by the North Island's highest mountain, Mount Ruapehu, 2,797 meters. The plateau also hosts the country's largest lake, Lake Torp, nestled in the caldera of one of the world's most active supervolcanoes. The country owes its varied topography, and perhaps even its emergence above the waves, to the dynamic boundary it straddles between the Pacific and Indo-Australian plates. New Zealand is part of Zealandia, a microcontinent nearly half the size of Australia that gradually submerged after breaking away from the Gondwanan supercontinent. About 25 million years ago, a shift in plate tectonic movements began to contort and crumple the region. This is now most evident in the Southern Alps, formed by compression of the crust beside the Alpine Fault. Elsewhere, the plate boundary involves the subduction of one plate under the other, producing the Puasega Trench to the south, the Hikurangi Trench east of the North Island, and the Kermadec and Tonga Trenches further north. New Zealand, together with Australia, is part of a region known as Australasia. It also forms the southwestern extremity of the geographic and ethnographic region called Polynesia. Oceania is a wider region encompassing the Australian continent, New Zealand, and various island countries in the Pacific Ocean that are not included in the seven-continent model. New Zealand's climate is predominantly temperate maritime, with mean annual temperatures ranging from 10 degrees Celsius 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the south to 16 degrees Celsius 61 degrees Fahrenheit in the north. Historical maxima and minima are 42.4 degrees Celsius 108.32 degrees Fahrenheit in Rangiora, Canterbury, and minus 25.6 degrees Celsius minus 14.08 degrees Fahrenheit in Ranfurly, Otago. Conditions vary sharply across regions, from extremely wet on the west coast of the South Island to semi-arid in central Otago and the Mackenzie Basin of inland Canterbury, and subtropical in Northland. Of the 7 largest cities, Christchurch is the driest, receiving on average only 618 millimeters of rain per year, and Wellington the wettest, receiving almost twice that amount. Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch all receive a yearly average of more than 2,000 hours of sunshine. The southern and southwestern parts of the South Island have a cooler and cloudier climate, with around 1,400 to 1,600 hours. The northern and northeastern parts of the South Island are the sunniest areas of the country, and receive about 2,400 to 2,500 hours. The general snow season is early June until early October, though cold snaps can occur outside this season. Snowfall is common in the eastern and southern parts of the South Island and mountain areas across the country. Top tourist destinations in New Zealand are Bay of Islands, Tongariro National Park, Rotorua, Napier in Hawke's Bay, Auckland, Coromandel Peninsula, Queenstown, Fiordland National Park, Fox and Franz Josef Glacier, Abel Tasman National Park, Mount Cook National Park, Kaikoura, Milford Sound, Waiheke Island, Christchurch, White Island, Wakarurua Geothermal Valley, Waitomo Glowworm Caves, Franz Josef Glacier, Muriwai Beach, Milford Sound, Matapuri, Piha, Wanaka, and so on. Thank you for watching this beautiful video. If you love this video, then please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. See you in the next video, and until that, please stay safe with your loved one. Goodbye.